Hello everyone and welcome to the Unanswered Questions True Crime Podcast.
I have spent hours and hours investigating this.
He basically told her that people have been killed. Journalists, independent investigators, people like that disappeared. It frightened her to the bone.
There's more to the story than meets the eye.
There were rumors of torture and homicide and sexual abuse, all sorts of egregious, horrendous crimes.
He was polygraphed 3 times. Each of those 3 showed evasions.
His resumes were a skeleton of truth.
He was mad at the world, and particularly mad at the government.
The study that he commissioned had described a fictional terrorist attack.
If people have died over this, it means you're getting close to the truth.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to say, what the fuck?
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of my new podcast, Unanswered Questions, where every week we'll endeavour to discuss a mysterious unsolved case that has many lingering unanswered questions. So I hope you enjoy, and as always, leave me some feedback on what you think about the show and rate it as well. Now on to the show. This week we'll be talking about the Superman curse. Now, the Superman curse refers to a series of supposedly related misfortunes that have plagued creative people involved in the adaptations of the DC comic character Superman in various media, particularly actors who have played the role of Superman on film and television. Curse is frequently associated with George Reeves, who starred in Adventures of Superman on television from 1952 to 1958 and died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the age of 45, and Christopher Reeve, the portrayer of the superhero in 4 theatrical films from 1978 to 1987, who was paralyzed in a 1995 horseback riding accident and died 9 years later at age 52 from heart failure. The curse is often invoked whenever misfortune is experienced by actors and other personnel who work on Superman adaptations, so much so that some talent agents cite the curse as a reason for the difficulty in casting actors in the role in live-action feature films. A more prosaic explanation for the alleged curse is that given the high number of people involved in the many adaptations and treatments of the Superman story over the years, a number of misfortunes would inevitably occur, as they would do in any substantial sampling of random individuals. Now we get into the list of actors who have been hit and victims of the Superman curse. The following actors who played Superman have sometimes been cited as victims of the Superman curse. First we have Kirk Alyn. Kirk Alyn played Superman in 2 low-budget 1940s serials, but failed to find work afterward because he was too closely identified with the role, aka typecast. As a result, he was regulated to voiceovers, commercials, and uncredited screen roles. He later appeared as Lois Lane's father in the 1978 Superman film. Alyn had Alzheimer's disease later in his life and died in 1999 at the age of 88. Then we come to Lee Quigley. Lee Quigley, who played Superman as a baby in the 1978 film, died in 1991 at age 14 from inhalant abuse. Then we have George Reeves. George Reeves played Superman in the 1951 film Superman and the Mole Men and the ensuing television series Adventures of Superman. Like Alyn and Reeve, he was too closely associated with the role to find further work. On June 16th of 1959, days before he was to be married, Reeves was found dead of a gunshot wound at his home with his Luger near him. The death was ruled a suicide, but controversy surrounds the death, as Reeves' fingerprints were never found on the gun, and he had been having an affair with the wife of MGM executive Eddie Mannix. It was Reeves' death that inspired the conspiracy theories and the urban legend of a curse associated with the character. I have covered the George Reeves case on another podcast episode, so check it out when you get a chance. Then we come to Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve played Clark Kent's Superman in the 1978-87 Superman film series, that being Superman the Movie, 1978, Superman 2, 1980s, Superman 3, 1983, and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace in 1987. Like Kirk Alyn, Reeve was so closely identified with the character that it was difficult for him to acquire lead parts in other films. He was largely relegated to Superman sequels and supporting roles. Reeve was paralyzed from the neck down after being thrown from his horse in a cross-country equestrian riding event on May 27th of 1995. Reeve died on October 10th, 2004, aged 52, 15 days after his birthday. No official autopsy was performed on the actor, but both Reeves' wife, Dana, and his doctor, John McDonald, believed that an adverse reaction to a drug caused Reeves' death. In one of his last roles, Reeves portrayed supporting character Dr. Virgil Swan on the WBCW television series Smallville, which ran from 2001 to 2011. Now we come to other alleged victims, including Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando, who played Jor-El in the 1978 film, is cited for the misfortune he suffered in his private life, such as his son Christian's shooting of his half-sister Cheyenne's boyfriend in 1990 and subsequent 5-year imprisonment, Brando's own admission in court that he had failed his son and his daughter's 1995 suicide, and his later reclusiveness. He died in July of 2004, aged 80, 3 months before his Superman co-star Christopher Reeve. Footage of him would later be promiscuously used in 2006 Superman Returns. Then we have Margot Kidder. Margot Kidder, who played Superman's love interest Lois Lane opposite Christopher Reeve, had bipolar disorder. In April of 1996, she went missing for several days and was found by police in a paranoid delusional state. Kidder dismissed the notion of a curse, remarking in a 2002 interview, quote, "That is all newspaper-created rubbish. The idea cracks me up. What about the luck of Superman? When my car crashed this August, if I hadn't hit a telegraph pole after rolling 3 times, I would have dropped down a 50-foot to 60-foot ravine. Why don't people focus on that?" End quote. Kidder died on May 13th of 2018 in Livingston, Montana. A coroner ruled her death a suicide, stating that she had died as a result of self-inflicted drug and alcohol overdose. Then we have Richard Pryor. Comedian Richard Pryor, who had previously had a drug addiction that led to a near-fatal suicide attempt, starred as villain Gus Gorman in 1983's Superman 3, but later took Superman's side near the end of the film and became a hero. 3 years later, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. He died of a heart attack on August 10th of 2005 at the age of 65. Then we have Dana Reeve. The curse has been mentioned regarding the death of actress Dana Reeve, the widow of actor Christopher Reeve, who, despite being a non-smoker, died of lung cancer in 2006 at the age of 44. Then we have Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the creators of Superman, sold the rights to their creation to DC Comics for a relatively small amount of money, in contrast to the amount of money the character has generated over the decades. Despite the repeated efforts over the course of the rest of their lives to recover legal ownership of Superman and to share in the immense profits that the character brought for DC Comics, DC's copyright on the character was renewed. By the 1950s, Shuster's worsening eyesight preventing him from drawing, and he worked as a delivery man in order to earn a living. Jerry Robinson claimed that Shuster had delivered a package to the DC building, embarrassing the employees. He was summoned to the CEO, given $100, and told to buy a new coat and find another job. By 1976, Shuster was almost blind and living in a California nursing home. In 1975, Siegel launched a publicity campaign in which Shuster participated, protesting DC Comics' treatment of him and Shuster. In the face of a great deal of negative publicity over their handling of the affair, and with the Superman movie coming soon, DC's parent company Warner Communications reinstated the byline dropped more than 30 years earlier and granted the pair a lifetime pension of $20,000 a year plus health benefits. The first issue with a restored credit was Superman Volume 1, 302, August of 1976. Siegel died in 1966 and Shuster in 1992. Then we have Max and Dave Fleischer. Brothers Max Fleischer and Dave Fleischer of Fleischer Studios, all who produced the Paramount Superman cartoons, began to quarrel with one another, and their studio suffered financial disaster. After selling to Paramount Studios, the new owners fired the two brothers. Max died in poverty in a film industry charity hospital. Then we have the DVD crew of Superman Returns. The curse was invoked after 3 people involved in the creation of the Superman Returns DVD were injured. One of them fell down a flight of stairs, another was mugged and physically assaulted, and a third smashed into a glass window. Director Bryan Singer remarked, quote, "My DVD crew absorbed the curse for us," end quote. Then we have Alison Mack. Alison Mack, who played Chloe Sullivan on the TV series Smallville, was accused of sex trafficking and forced human labor and was arrested in 2018 on those charges. An article on Fox News speculated whether this was related to the curse. In June 2021, she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Now we come to the Superman actors not generally believed to have become victims of the curse. So, the following actors have either portrayed Superman or voiced him in animated cartoons, but are not typically associated with the curse or having been cursed. First is Dean Cain. Dean Cain became a household name in the early to mid-1990s for his portrayal of Superman/Clark Kent in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. He went on to have various roles in shows such as Frasier and Law & Order, as well as made-for-TV movies. He has also made guest appearances in 2 other Superman-related series, in an episode of Smallville as the villainous Dr. Curtis Knox, and a recurring role in Supergirl as the title character's foster father, Jemiah Danvers. ABC News correspondent Buck Wolf once commented, quote, "Cain has yet to find the right role," end quote. Then there's Bud Collyer. Bud Collyer voiced the first series of Superman cartoons from 1941 to 43. He went on to enjoy a career in TV, hosting the game show To Tell the Truth. He returned to Superman by voicing The New Adventures of Superman for CBS in 1966. He died in 1969 of circulatory ailment at the age of 61. Voice actors have generally been considered not to be affected by the curse. Then we have Brandon Routh. Actor Brandon Routh, who played Superman in the 2006 film Superman Returns, dismisses the notion of the curse. He stated that what occurs to one person or set of people will not necessarily occur to everyone, and that he does not live his life in fear. Routh eventually played Ray Palmer, the Atom, on other DC comic-related projects, is a recurring character in Arrow and The Flash, and is a regular in the spin-off series Legends of Tomorrow. Occasionally, his role as Superman is referenced in the Arrowverse. He revisited the role in the crossover storyline Crisis on Infinite Earths. Then we have Tom Welling. Tom Welling played Clark Kent in the series Smallville, which aired from 2001 to 2011. He told attendees at Fan Expo Canada that while he did have doubts about taking on the part of the character, they stemmed from the secrecy with which the producers initially withheld details about the production and not the purported curse, to which he had not paid any mind. Welling explained that once he was given a script to read, his doubts were put to rest. He later reappears as Clark Kent in the 2019-2020 Arrowverse crossover storyline Crisis on Infinite Earths as a husband and father who has given up his powers and is therefore immune to the kryptonite with which Lex Luthor attempts to kill him. Then we have Bob Holliday. Bob Holliday played Superman on Broadway in the 1960s musical It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman. He called the idea of a Superman curse silly and stated that nothing but good came from his playing Superman. And we come to the last but not least, Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill played Clark Kent/Superman in the films of the DC Extended Universe spanning Man of Steel 2013 to Black Adam 2022. He has said that he does not believe there is a Superman curse and that incidents thought to be evidence of it are explained by bad luck. Does the curse actually exist? Well, we may never really know for sure. With that, this case remains open, but with many unanswered questions that still remain unanswered. Please rate the show and let me know what you guys think about this and the many other cases I've covered. You can follow me on all major social media platforms, YouTube, BitChute, Dailymotion. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram, links are all down below in the description. If you have a case you'd like me to have a look at or cover, don't hesitate to send me a message. I'm your host, and this has been the Unanswered Questions Podcast. Until next time. Next on Unanswered Questions. Now, as I understand it, the Publius Enigma is an internet phenomenon and an unsolved problem that began with cryptic messages posted by a user identifying only as Publius to the unmoderated Usenet newsgroup alt.music.pinkfloyd through the Pennant Remailer, a now defunct anonymous information exchange service.